Hey, everybody, and welcome back. We have an extra read all about it episode for you today. It is our 1 year anniversary episode. We've been at this for a year, and somehow we've made it this far. Somehow we're still here. We're still trucking on, just getting better thanks to people who listen like you. If anybody listens, that's not Lauren's mom, aka I also was adopted by her as well. So apparently that's my mom now too. But on a real
That's my
note,
new little brother.
yeah, and on a real note, if you have found us on accident, great, thank you for coming by. Search Geek Hops on Twitter, Hops Geek News on Instagram. Go to Threadless, search Hops Geek News. We got merch there. Buy me a coffee. You can go search Hops Geek News. Buy us a beer. It all goes right back into the show, into buying stickers, into buying everything that we can push back out to other podcasts and people who love our stickers and love our things like that. Um,
They are
if
pretty
you don't
sweet
know,
stickers.
yeah, they are. If we've posted pictures, search us Hops News on every single podcasting platform. And if you're in the Boise area, you can go to Woodland Empire. Our stickers are at Woodland Empire, and our stickers are at Captain Comics. So pick those up free of charge. If you have grabbed a sticker from Woodland or Captain Comics, please tag us in a picture. We seriously appreciate it. And without further ado, I'm Mash, of course, and alongside me is Lauren, the Hoppy Mommy. And this is it. We've made it a year. What do we do from here?
I don't know. It's all downhill from here.
It's all downhill. A little known podcast that it's spun off. Our main show is Hops News, where we discuss beer, we raise money for charity, things of that nature. And Lauren and I decided that we kept just talking nerdy stuff all the time. And
I feel like we were
thus,
encouraged because we
yeah,
kept getting lost. Like a subject would come up and we'd both just be like, "Oh yeah, da
you
da da
remember
da,"
that
and then
one time in Marvel this, and it just went from there.
I almost feel like Jay's just like, "Okay, you guys are gonna have a spinoff."
And then
Like I don't
thus,
even remember collectively deciding to do it,
it just organically happens somehow.
like the
Oh,
best things
man.
do.
It
But
did.
yeah, the first time we recorded, I remember just being like, "Huh, so that was fun.
We
We'll
had
see where this goes."
we had fun.
And 62 issues later,
Here we are. We've had a lot of great guests, which we're gonna talk about on this episode. We're gonna kind of reflect on our best guests, our most memorable moments, and kind of some things that we'd like to see for year two. But first things first, as always, we're gonna talk about news, talk about what we messed up on, what we've been watching or reading, and most importantly, what we're drinking tonight. Because this is, after all, a pop culture themed podcast that discusses beer at the same time. So we're drinking the same beer tonight on both portions. We not re-recorded, we pre-recorded the second half of this episode and drank, I believe, the same beer. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe that's something I fucked up next week. I don't know. But
I don't remember
I
now.
don't remember now. But right now we are drinking an amazing
Oh,
collaboration.
we drank the Joker beer.
We
No,
did. We drank
we
the
didn't.
brewer
We
who
didn't.
laughs. Yes, we
No,
did.
that's wrong. We drank that for the news portion last week with Stevie Arena.
Oh, you're right. Oh God.
You
You
might
know
have been
what?
drinking water. I don't know.
We'll see. You know what? The best things come in
It'll be a
surprises.
surprise for us as
Um,
well.
tonight, though, what is not a surprise is we're drinking a amazing collaboration beer from two phenomenal breweries. One from Bend, Oregon, or Portland, Oregon, I should say, and the other is from, was it Miami?
Doral, which is like a suburb of Miami. It's right by the Miami airport.
So it's Miami. Come on.
So I should know because I was there 3 days ago.
Yes, which go to our YouTube at Hops News and you'll see the Key West Adventure Beercation. But we're drinking a collaboration between Great Notion Brewing and Tripping Animals Brewing. Cosmic Bandito 2.0, a 6% sour ale brewed with Marionberry, key lime, orange, vanilla, and marshmallow. If you're watching on our
Holy cow.
YouTube, that is what the can looks like. It's cosmic, all right. You got like a raccoon with a laser beam fighting a flamingo with a laser beam because flamingos, Florida, raccoons, I guess, is Oregon's thing.
Wait, it
So
looks
we're
like the raccoon shooting key limes.
Oh, it is. And I'm going to assume the flamingo is shooting Marionberry. So, Marionberry is actually a staple of Oregon. I've had Marionberry syrup, being that I'm in Idaho. And
Oh, and I've
you
never
can
even heard of it.
huckleberry and marionberries are two things that you can find all over this part of the country. And if you're also watching, it's got a deep purplish, pretty purple color. It's a thick sour. It's I get a lot of key lime and orange flavors. I don't personally get a lot of vanilla or marshmallow at all,
Mm-mm. It's
but
it's a lot of key lime. At
it's a
first, I thought I didn't, and now I'm getting smacked in the face with key lime.
it's delicious nonetheless. And I'm gotta keep this label. This label's sick. They're fighting in the woods too, because Oregon, a lot of trees, a lot of woods, and they're also in space. And Tripping Animals always has really good artwork. Their animals are
Artwork.
obviously always high, of course.
They're
Tripping
tripping
Animals, they're tripping, and it's
and great notions in the woods.
it's great. Great Notions out in the woods. If you haven't been to Oregon, it's beautiful, beyond beautiful, especially the Bend, Portland area. Like it's just all mountains, it's woods, it's beautiful. Some of the best rivers, some of the best beer comes from there. So, highly recommend. Get out there.
Yeah. I'm wondering when this warms up if we'll get more vanilla and marshmallow because I really don't get any of that. And the
I
sours that tend to be my favorite are the ones that have that like smooth finish at the end. And I like this, but it is very puckery sour. So I don't
it
love it because
is.
I don't love puckery sours.
I really like it.
I what's funny is like, when I poured this, like I haven't had an IPA all night. I did have one earlier at the beach, but I haven't had one all night. And I was thinking, oh, we're gonna have an amazing New England IPA later because it's Great
I
Notion and
thought
Tripping
exactly
Animals.
I thought exactly that's what this was.
Yeah, and as
The
I'm pouring it, I was like, oh, I was very wrong.
well, the only other Great Notion beer I had was the pancakes one that I had on a
Oh,
previous episode, and so this is my second Great Notion ever.
I've
My
had a
goal is
Great
to make it to
Notion
that
IPA.
brewery.
That should be
Ian has
everyone's goal.
mentioned going out to Oregon, so if Ian goes out to Oregon, I might meet him out there just to get out to some of these breweries. But
Well, I crashed his
it's
Austin trip. Maybe I'll crash that one too.
hey, there you go. Let's crash his Oregon trip. It says yeah, I don't know, maybe it will, but what are we not experts
Okay.
on though, besides the fact that we can only taste two things in this beer and we don't have Gordon Ramsay's palate apparently.
I'm hoping, I think when it warms up, I think it will give me more subtleness and not so much pucker sour. If you like pucker sour, you will love this beer. The only thing we weren't experts on, I was trying to remember the show that Coulson and Valentina were in, Julia Louis Dreyfus, The New Adventures of Old Christine. That's it.
That's right.
Sure,
Well,
there
that's
might
not
be
really a
more.
mess up because you did actually kind of say something old Christine, so I didn't count it
I
as a
couldn't
mess.
remember what it was. I didn't watch it consistently. It was one of those on like, syndication you kind of like leave on back in the day before everything was streaming. I don't
Hey,
know if you're
everybody's
old
got a
enough to
streaming
remember
service.
that.
Oh, I
but
remember. Okay,
okay,
I
just
was
making
there
sure.
before the Great Streaming Wars. Thank you very much.
But you were like,
I was a
little.
teenage wasteland.
But I do remember when I saw Coulson and he's in the first Iron Man.
He
When I
is.
saw him, I recognized him from that.
Coulson
Oh,
walked so
and then
Mobius could run.
the dude who played her brother is actually in the show Legion. If anybody watches
Oh,
that one.
really?
I started Legion, but I never finished it. But that's in the X-Men universe.
I heard it's a very good show. I haven't
I could
watched
be
it at
wrong. It's in
all.
the Fox Marvel
It's in the
universe.
Fox. Yeah, it
Yeah.
was an X-Men show
I
because
was told it was very good, and I finished season one, and I got started season two, and I still hadn't gotten hooked, and I kind of just stopped. I kind of felt the same way with Preacher. I started it, and if anybody thinks I'm wrong for giving up on either of those, let me know. Give me reason to continue.
well, I haven't watched it at all.
Good for you. Well, what did you watch or read this week?
Oh God. Oh no. Well, it's with solemn news that I unfortunately watched Space Jam #2, the whole thing. My son. So my wife took my son to see it, and then he came home and he saw that we had it on the TV, and so he put it on again. And I was like, "All right, I want to spend time with the kids. Here's Space Jam." And
I mean,
then
the first one's fantastic.
it's like every time I walk out of any room in this house, this man's got Space Jam 2 on, and I'm like, "Oh my god, dude, stop." It's
Should have him FaceTime my daughter. They can watch it
it's
together.
I mean, he does say he wants to marry your daughter one day, so,
Well, there you
this
go.
could be their movie dates, I guess, because they're the only two people that want to watch this god awful film.
All right.
It's
So I just poured more of this beer in here, and it is
it
thick
is
on the bottom.
quite thick with 3 C's, not one, not two,
Woo! And
but
now there's stuff floating around in it.
3. Oh yeah, some
Maybe I
floaties.
shouldn't have done that. Okay, go ahead,
Um,
Space Jam.
I was just gonna say, in my personal opinion, it's a solid five, and I think it's only a five because
You're
Oliver
being nice.
liked the film, so it's not good. LeBron James is acting not good. Neither was Michael Jordan's, to be fair, but LeBron James
Michael
noticeably
Jordan's was
worse.
better than LeBron. I mean, I could be
Yeah,
remembering this through my little kid eyes. I've seen the movie as an
I've seen the
adult,
movie recently for Space
and I
Jam, and
still remember it being good.
his acting is better than LeBron's. They kind of like the whole plot line behind it's pretty. It's like
Lame.
the,
He's a
the
bad dad.
algorithm basically wants to spoilers for anybody's goddamnness.
AG Rhythm.
Algae Rhythm,
Oh,
who's Don
algae.
Cheadle, who looks fly as fuck in all of his
And the only
outfits.
one who can act in this movie.
They
Even
handed
the
that man a metallic jacket in eight different scenes, eight different metallic jackets, and he rocked the heck out of every metallic jacket.
But you notice the woman who's playing LeBron's wife, it's not his wife and kids that are playing his wife and kids. She's from Walking
No,
Dead, and I thought she was
she's
good in Walking Dead. She couldn't act in this
she
movie
didn't do
either.
anything. They didn't give her anything to act with. To be
But no,
fair,
when she's like Braun, Braun, and like
win
just a
this game.
few moments she had, like that's not the actress I remember from Walking Dead.
Well, to
I
be
think
fair,
she's in the
she
new
knew what
Star
she was
Trek
in.
too.
She knew what she was in, and it's
She's like, I
basic.
gotta lower my skill
It's
level.
Don Cheadle's the algorithm who's not happy that he has a great idea, pitches it
And the
to
studio execs won't listen.
he pitches it to basically the HBO studio execs who don't
We
listen.
don't need
And
to give this movie more time.
LeBron was like, "It sucks," and so he got mad and kidnapped his son, and then they got to play basketball for it, and then it's a
And
two
that's what
hour.
you do when somebody bashes your idea. You kidnap their
It's
kid.
I'll play you a
Clearly.
101, and it's literally a 2 hour ad for every HBO property, just so they can be like, "Look at me, we got all these properties, but guess what? We don't know how to properly do anything with them."
Well, even with Looney Tunes, I mean, I would love to see them revive Looney Tunes. I just, I mean, Pepe Le Pew may not survive in the Me Too era, but
Well, to be fair, the Looney Tunes were not very kid friendly back in the day. Like even
yeah, they probably
there's even a
weren't.
scene in this movie where Bugs Bunny's drinking carrot juice, which is equivalent to him getting drunk the whole time when LeBron finds him on an abandoned Toon World.
Oh, see, I didn't even get that far. But so what's funny is this week when I was watching Supernatural, I came across the Looney Tunes episode. That episode is way better than this movie was. That episode is amazing. Just so you know.
All right. Well,
Oh, I hear a kid crying.
it's not my kid. That's your kid. But so other than that, though, I Shark Week, and then I read some good comics, which honestly I blanked on which ones I read because I read a lot of comics. So that's my
Sweet Tooth.
bad. I did read. I read 2/3 of Sweet Tooth. We just recorded that episode with Woodland Empire, which you can find next week. But what have you dove into?
I haven't read much. I was out of town most of this week, but I obviously did get. I watched part of Space Jam. I did get some good Shark Weekend. Um, so there are different episodes. I think I mentioned this last week where you can watch stuff live stream, and then there's Discovery Plus. Discovery Plus is like you can do like a 7 day free trial.
Oh
That's
yeah, yeah.
$5 a month. I recommend doing the free trial. So if you missed any stuff, you can stream some of those episodes on there. But they also have really good documentaries on there that are not that they didn't stream live. There's a shark finning one I mentioned before, and then the other day I watched one on shark culling, which there's some beaches in Australia where they set up these nets, and it's to supposedly to keep sharks away from the beaches. However, the sharks don't, or the nets don't go all the way to the ground. A lot of these sharks go under them just fine, and they're not harming anybody. But what ends up happening is a lot of sea turtles, literally whales, and sharks and stingrays and all sorts of other animals are getting caught in these nets and dying. And it's really sad. And they go behind the politics of it all and how it's all bullshit. And it's a really good documentary, very heartbreaking. At the end, it's like, sign this petition. This is what you can do, especially if you're in Australia. You can do more. And it's not all of Australia, it's just certain parts. And they had done all these not riots, that sounds terrible, all these marches and whatnot to stop the shark culling in other parts of Australia, and it worked. And don't have any increases in shark attacks. It's
Huh.
the same all around. Like I don't think people realize like cows and coconuts kill more people every year than sharks. Like so many 10 people on average die a year from sharks, and people are terrified of them. Meanwhile, coconuts falling out of trees and are killing people in higher numbers. But all right, I'll jump off
Well,
that
aren't
pedestal.
they? They're renaming shark attacks to shark. We just talked about that.
Yeah.
I I
But sharks are friends.
I just
But
don't get it.
this I watched the Snoop Dogg episode. That one was pretty funny for Shark Week, where he kind of like narrates these like YouTube videos and they bring in shark experts and he's literally smoking weed in the episode. it's, it's pretty funny. I
Nice.
like Snoop Dogg.
I
I
love Snoop.
especially like his relationship
D
with
O
Martha
double G.
Stewart. And that's what I watched. There was a couple things I wanted to mention. We always say what we read or watched as far as comics and TV shows, but I did want to give a shout out to a podcast. If you are a Supernatural fan, Salt and Burn This Pod. Just finished season 1. They go each episode, they break down each episode, they give you fun facts. It's a lot of fun. I've been enjoying that one. And that's what I got.
I haven't watched any Supernatural. I haven't.
You should watch the Looney Tunes one. It's way better than Space Jam. It's hilarious.
Everything's better.
Dean even says at the end, that's all, folks.
Uh, just I gotta say real quick. So I just talked to a member of the Scotch and Sports crew. Shout out to them. And it looks like I'm going to be meeting up them 100% in Chicago in October. He is buying his
Oh,
plane ticket
nice.
this week, and potentially Gnome might be meeting us as well for a meetup. So more
Really?
to come there. But Gnome, we're just hoping he gets the approval from his boss lady, and he comes out that weekend in October, and we're gonna hash it up. And Brew Witch can give us all her controversial beer opinions and take us to all the good spots. I'm looking forward to it though. It's gonna be a good time. But what is a good time right now is some news. Let's get the news. Let's hit the news. We have a lot of news. I feel like this week there was a lot of activity. It's that time of year. Today, when we're recording this, Comic Con has just kicked off. Comic Con at Home, San Diego. So
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure we're gonna have a lot of news next week as well, or I might even just discuss it on live. Anyways, Victoria Alonso confirms that both Miss Marvel and Hawkeye are going to be premiering by the end of 2021. So if we're looking at our calendars, folks, what
That's in the
if
next 5 months.
what if starts in August? September is
Hmm.
Shang-Chi. October is probably going to be one of these two shows.
November's Eternals.
November's Eternals.
Oh, December Spider Man.
December is supposed to be Spider-Man. So then we're going to get the other one of these shows at the same time. So we are beyond spoiled. Like, holy shit. Starting in August through the end of the year, we have 2 shows and 3 movies.
They gotta make up
It's
for last
We
year.
are
So sad.
so spoiled as comic book fans. We are so spoiled. Uh I can't wait. Like Miss Marvel, that's going to be a great TV show. Hawkeye, obviously that there's a lot to be invested in. And Kevin Feige last night was doing a watch along on the Marvel Studios Twitter, and he confirmed that we will find out if Yelena was dusted or not very soon. So we're gonna get some backstory into what happened. She had to have been dusted, I imagine. Otherwise, she would have been helping Scarlett Johansson and Natasha and crew. So I'm assuming she got dusted. But more to be seen there. Also, Kevin Feige revealed that a Marvel Studios meeting was held establishing the rules of the multiverse. So there are going to be some ground rules. Everything is a mess, everything has
Good.
gotten crazy. And so they established ground rules, which, yeah, like you just said, good. You can't just have people running crazy and everything. You got to have
Anytime there's
rules.
time travel, it's a recipe for disaster if not handled properly. Like time travel, I think is what ruined the show Heroes. Heroes was great.
Timey wimey.
I mean,
Heroes
yeah,
was
it's
great, but
wibbly
it did get
wobbly.
kind of
You got to be
crazy.
careful. Yeah. And then when they brought it back, nobody cared anymore because they had already ruined it.
Yeah, that's true. They did try that Heroes Reborn, right?
Yeah. I watched like one episode. It wasn't, it was like they were dealing,
I
like
didn't
anybody
watch it
who
at all.
actually, well, my daughter had actually picked it. There was a Heroes comic book too. I actually read the comic
Oh,
too.
really?
I
I
don't know
didn't
what
know that
happened to
either.
that. I think the
Heroes
comic
is
though was
dead.
based after the show. I don't think they did the show based off of that. I'll have to look that up. But
That's
yeah.
season 1 of Heroes was phenomenal, and then the writer's
Hmm.
strike happened, and it just never recovered, which is unfortunate because it was a great premise. It
Oh, that
was.
was that long ago. What
It
the writer's strike
was.
happened? What, like 2008?
It was a long time ago. Yeah, it was.
It impacted Supernatural. Dean went to hell because of it.
So all of my news is basically, all with the exception of one thing, is it's MCU related. So we're gonna get Sylvie. She's gonna be coming back in multiple MCU projects outside of Loki, which makes sense because she kind of caused the multiverse of madness that we're currently in.
Kind of.
So it would only make sense that she would return in some capacity. I wonder, what do you think that they might bring her in on?
Well, as soon as she did what she did, I almost felt like there was a little bit of remorse, or a little, not maybe not remorse, but more of like, was that the right thing? So
Yeah,
I could see her jumping in on something to try to fix that. I mean, but honestly, if we saw Kang now, I mean, we could see her in Ant-Man, we could see her in Doctor Strange, we could see her in pretty much anything, honestly.
that's true. Yeah, I'd have. It would. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw her in Multiverse of Madness. Obviously, season 2 of Loki.
Yeah.
She's
But
cool.
with the TVA not being in as much control, she can go wherever.
Well, she's trapped right now. She's got to find her way out of the
Oh,
where she's
that's right.
at. So that'd be interesting.
Oh
More
yeah.
MCU news. Winston Duke confirms that he is coming back as M'Baku,
Mbaku.
Black Panther 2,
I love him.
and he said they're making something really special. And so I'm excited. I know Black Panther 2, everyone is kind of weary about with Chadwick Boseman gone, but Winston Duke is great. I love him as an actor, and I loved him more as M'Baku. So he's a bro through and through. Like, he stood side by side with T'Challa once shit got sideways. Obviously, at first in the movie, he was kind of an asshole, but
But no, but he
I
was never really an asshole though.
that's
Like
true.
when he was like, "Oh, we're gonna eat you," and then he starts laughing. He's like, "I'm just kidding. We're vegetarians."
I've loved him ever since his first appearance. Like, I've been team M'Baku, so I would
Yeah.
love to see him more and get some more of him in the MCU. I'm here for it.
I feel
Um,
like his character is kind of irritated that like the Black Panther tribe is always what is winning and is on top, and they have access
well,
to the
yeah.
flowers, but he's not jealous of it. He's just kind of like an annoyance to him.
Well, he's
But at
all
the
about
same time,
taking
he's
care
a
of his
nice
people.
guy. Yeah, he's a
That's all
nice
he cares
guy.
about. Yeah.
And he wasn't going to let T'Challa die. And, obviously he wasn't going to send his mom away. So he's a genuinely nice guy. I think he just gets irritated that like Black Panther is always the one that's the, ruler of that area.
Yeah, that's true. Um, Bassam Tariq is set to direct Blade. Allegedly, they're in talks. Gonna be honest, I'm not too familiar with his work. I looked it up. I know he did some small projects, so I'm not too familiar. But if that's the case, then he's going to be directing Blade, which is pretty cool. Blade, we're going to be getting Marshall Ali is going to be Blade, of course. So we'll see more of
But
that
wasn't
soon, I
that
guess.
Cottonmouth too?
He was cotton, yeah,
I
but
hate that.
Luke Cage doesn't really exist in his universe
That's
anymore, does it?
bullshit. He does. I love that actor. I loved him in House of Cards. I loved him in Luke Cage. But that really irritates me because I feel like he was a big role in Luke Cage. They talk about the Avengers movie regularly in the Netflix shows, and I think that's bullshit.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
whatever.
that's
That's
fair to
just my
say. Fair
opinion.
to say. This is kind of a funny bit of news. Peppa Pig has
Ugh.
allegedly been revealed as the culprit of giving American children British accents. American kids have watched so much Peppa Pig during the COVID-19 pandemic that they are developing English accents and using English slang. Slang, schlong.
My kids call vacation holiday now.
Oh my god, it's this is the long con. The Brits have played the long game.
Uh,
They lost the Revolutionary War and they've been, all right, we got to
Centuries
plant.
later.
Send Peppa Pig in and now our children are going back under the crown. Which, is that a bad thing?
You're
They
right.
have universal health
Back
care
under
over
the
there.
crown.
Is that a bad thing? They get universal health care. They kind of got it good over there. Is that a bad thing? I don't know. But
Oh, it's really cold and dreary.
I will say that's my kind of people. Hell yeah.
I've actually never been there,
I
but
lived
I've
there for a
heard it's
while as a
cold and
kid.
dreary.
I lived there as a
Oh,
kid, and
really?
I do. I remember bits and pieces, and I'm dying to get back. But my kids used to watch Peppa Pig. I'll be honest, and they haven't. I haven't met a child that has a British accent. Maybe I don't meet everybody watching Peppa Pig, but that's kind of like.
What about Charlie? Charlie bit my
It's kind of
finger. The
hilarious.
kid's
It's like,
actually from Nebraska.
Mummy. Yeah, it's like one day your kid's like, I don't know, Dad. And the next day he walks up like, Mummy, have you made me a sandwich?
Can I have a biscuit?
Mummy, can I have some tea and crumpets?
Sorry, little kids with accents are just so fucking
They are so
adorable.
goddamn cute. So cute. But yeah, so limit your Peppa Pig. This is America, brother. You better get it right. In America, we like guns and bacon. So that Peppa Pig, I'm just waiting for all the crazies out there to make Peppa Pig memes about bacon and bullshit because you know it's coming. But
Peppa Pig is incredibly annoying, but sometimes
god
I'll catch
damn,
a hint of it. But it's also funny because they make fun of stuff too.
but that little kid's such an a-hole in Peppa Pig.
Oh, the kid's an ass.
He's
Yeah.
such an asshole.
No, it's a
Like
she. Peppa's a she, and then the little brothers,
they're all terrible. All right, there
they
is
are.
no good
And then
character.
whenever
And
they laugh, they
Caillou,
lay on the floor. Oh, Caillou is not allowed
Caillou's
in
an
this house.
asshole too. All right, so
Oh my
yeah,
god,
we
my
don't
kid
watch
like
Caillou.
pointed
Thank
at
God.
Barney on the fire stick, and I was like, "Oh hell to the fuck no! That is never allowed in our
What's wrong with
house."
Barney?
Are you kidding? Barney and Baby Bop?
Yeah, I grew up on Barney. What's your
Ugh,
problem? What's your
explains a
beef?
lot.
What's your
Explains a lot.
beef?
There is a lot of beef.
How many times I gotta teach you this lesson, old man?
Oh,
Anyways,
Barney's the worst.
God, fuck, all right, whatever. My
My
last bit of
worst thing with
news.
kids is whining, and they whine.
Oh, I
Whining
don't
is
let my
like
kids whine. Do not like the kids
that
whining.
is the worst
Very
thing in the
true.
world to me is whining.
Very true. My last bit of news is Leslie Grace. She started In the Heights. She lands the role of Barbara Gordon in the Batgirl movie. We have our Barbara Gordon in the DC universe. I'm excited. I don't know a lot of her work, but I am so excited that we're going to be getting a Batgirl. And
I like
I,
Barbara Gordon in Gotham.
yeah, I like Barbara Gordon's always been a great character in the Bat family. So
She was evil
hopefully,
though.
oh Gotham. I don't know. I never watched the show.
In Gotham, she turns bad.
Gotham. Like I can't. You know, whatever. I hope we get something good. I hope we get a proper Batman. I would love to see Batman teaming up with the Bat family. Like, give me some Nightwing, give me some Batgirl, give me a Robin.
Yeah, how
Let
come
me
no
see them
Nightwing?
taking on some bad guys, man. Like, give me that, and then, uh, I would love it. I think that's what we need. Maybe eventually I'll get it. But what kind of news dost thou have for us tonight?
So Aquaman 2 is about to start filming. Jason Momoa has arrived in London.
Oh, beautiful man.
Jamila Jamil, she's Tahini
Yeah.
from The Good Place, has confirmed she will be in She-Hulk. She's currently actually learning some fight choreography, and she's going to be playing a villain called Titania. So I think that news had kind of come out, but it was the first time she's come out and confirmed it. And she
So wait,
posted
is
a little
she's playing she okay, yeah. She's gonna be She-Hulk. Got you.
well, she's going to be the villain.
Oh, so we don't know who She-Hulk is yet? Or
I
did
think we
we?
do know who She-Hulk is.
Oh my god, why am I getting it so confused
Here,
for
I'll
some
look it up real
reason?
quick. Yeah, they've cast She-Hulk.
That's
Let's
right.
see.
They did a long time ago. I remember this now.
We
I
got
remember her name.
Teen Titans, HBO Max season 3, August 12th. I really need to watch that. I'm gonna get on that.
Oh, yes, Teen Titans. I am so excited that that's coming back. Red Hood is going to be this year or this
Okay,
season.
Tatiana Maslany is
That's right.
She-Hulk.
That's
She-Hulk.
right. I forgot. My
Now,
fault,
wait.
everybody.
Now I'm wondering if this is a typo, but Jamila is playing the villain, which is Titania.
Okay. We'll fix it next week.
If that's wrong, I will fix it next week, but that could be right because the names are different. They're just
We'll
very
fix it next
similar,
week.
hence the confusion. So, yeah, okay. So, Kevin Smith's Clerks 3 has been acquired by Lionsgate, which begins filming
Snoogans.
next month. Did you add this in or did I add this
I
in? This
added it
film,
in for you because I didn't
okay.
want to take all the news. And I was like, oh, you're looking a little light on news today. Let me help you
I was
out.
gonna say, where did this come from? I don't remember
Homies
doing
help
this.
homies.
It's been acquired by Lionsgate, which begins filming next month. The film follows Randall when, after a massive heart attack, he enlists fellow clerk Dante, Elias, and Jay and Silent Bob to make a movie immortalizing his life at the convenience
It
store.
all comes full circle. I believe this starts filming the day that
Ah.
Kevin Smith had his heart attack as well, or it's his
Oh.
birthday, 51st birthday. But yeah, the big holdup for this for the longest time was Randall didn't want to come back. He had gone and lived off the grid basically.
Well, he said he got like typecasted as Randall, and they wanted to do Clerks 2 earlier, and he didn't want to do it. So he had to be convinced. If you watch that documentary with Kevin Smith,
Yeah,
yeah, he goes into all that. But I mean, because he has such a distinct voice, I guess people recognize him everywhere, and he was never able. But he's a good actor. I
he
mean,
is.
especially
And
after watching someone like LeBron, you realize you need actual talent to act.
he is a good actor. And so I'm glad that they actually really got him back. I am pumped. Clerks 3, man, this has been in the works for the longest time too. This is a movie that they've wanted to get made for a long time, so it's great to see.
Yes, that is correct. Jamila Jamil will be playing Titania, and Tatiana Maslany is playing She-Hulk.
Real quick, I have breaking news that I just saw.
Da-da-da.
So there was a Yellowstone beer fest last weekend in Cody, Wyoming, and the best overall brewery was Toppling Goliath. The best double IPA was King Sue by
It was
Toppling Goliath.
goodness. King Stu's fantastic.
Yeah, so I just want to give a shout out to Toppling Goliath because we interact with they follow us on Twitter, and I interact with their social media person all the time, and they are such a fun follow. They're super wonderful people joking around, and they might be a guest on an episode here soon. So
I hope
great job.
so. Well, they have their pseudo Sue is at Universal in the Jurassic Park area. So I commented like, "Hey, Animal Kingdom has a dinosaur area. Just saying." And they're like, "Oh, we did not know that." So pseudo Sue
I
needs
still
to show
have
up at Disney.
that beer sitting in my fridge in hopes that they come on. So that you sent me.
I actually had bought another pseudo Sue the week we did Jurassic Park. Because we get them, they're really accessible here now. But King Sue, that was a hard one to get for a while, and that one's fantastic. My last pizza news is actually kind of funny. So, David Schwimmer did the Friends reunion a few weeks ago
Yeah.
on HBO Max, and there was a comment like he wasn't a fan of the monkey. So Marcel was played by two different monkeys, and he said he didn't like it because everybody had hit marks, do certain things, and if the monkey wasn't exact, they had to do everything again. And he had the most scenes with the monkey, and apparently the trainers don't really let them bond with the monkeys because it can impact their acting ability if they feel like this person is a friend. So David Schwimmer made the comment about him not liking the monkey on the reunion. And the trainer came back and was like, I never watched Friends because David Schwimmer doesn't like my monkey. And I won't watch the reunion either. David Schwimmer needs to get over it. He was jealous of the monkey because the monkey would get laughs.
What?
And apparently, one of the monkeys passed away last year of like cancer. And he's like, he's speaking ill of the dead. So yeah, I thought that was a little bit just entertaining.
Oh
But
my
yeah.
heavens.
I'm gonna guess that the trainer was like, I can make a buck off this.
Oh, without a doubt. He's like, oh, they have a friends reunion. Now's my time to shine. Oh,
Right.
he mentioned the monkeys. My time right
Right.
here.
But
I've been
I
waiting
won't
on
watch
this.
it because David Schwimmer's in it. Yet
You know damn well
everything
he watched.
said.
Yeah, he watched that episode. He watched Friends. Like, come on, bud. Get old. Whatever, dude.
Oh, he says
Monkeys
David
are
Schwimmer needs to
assholes.
get over it. Yeah,
Monkeys
maybe
are
he needs to get over it.
assholes. Like, straight up. I love monkeys, but they are inherently
Well,
assholes.
it
They're
wasn't
also
even like
part.
he had an issue with the monkey. It was more so like he had an issue working with the monkey. Like it was a pain in the ass.
I get it, like fully get it. Especially, I can't speak because I'm not an actor, but I
And I've
can
never worked with
understand.
monkeys.
Yeah, I don't know. That the trainer sounds like he's just kind of being an asshole, but that's just my take on
I
it.
agree.
Well,
Yeah. I just thought that was funny. My cousin told me that news today. I'm like, can you send me that? I'm going to throw that into Hawks Geek
ridiculous,
News.
just ridiculous. But on a serious note, now thank you guys again. We are going to jump into the main topic, which is reflecting on the past year of our lives. This is like that part, episodes every so often in the middle of a season you get like that musical episode, or you get that episode where like the character gets knocked unconscious,
Flashbacks.
so then they just like revisit all the things of their past. That's kind of this episode. We talk a lot of fun things. Shout out to a lot of great podcasts. And side note, I just remembered, apparently the season finale of Flashlight last night, they fought basically lightsabers with Godspeed. So haven't watched Flash in a couple seasons. It's gone downhill apparently. Let us know your thoughts on that. I'm very curious. And shout out to my man Giannis dropping 50 burger, win the championship. Enjoy the rest of this episode, and thanks everybody for coming along on this journey. Cheers to another year. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the main topic of our special 1 year anniversary episode. We didn't think we'd ever make it this
Paper
far.
anniversary.
Yes, this so you're no, my wife is also all about those. Like every year she reminds me like what it is, and we always get something for that. So paper anniversary. I
We
didn't know
did
it was
that
a
the
thing, so I
first
got married.
anniversary, and that was it. My
Well,
Josh got gave Kaylee and I actually tickets to see The Lion King on Broadway, and they were paper tickets.
nice.
And
Nice.
that's it. We don't do anniversary gifts, honestly. We do anniversary trips,
See,
anniversary
that's way better. Anniversary trips
events.
are way better. Personally, is how I feel. So
Sometimes we're
yeah,
getting on birthdays too.
Word live. Josh came out with some comments. I didn't hear what he said. All right,
I
keep
didn't hear what
going.
he
We're
said either.
good.
Anyways, no, we didn't think we'd make it this far. We started out as just riffing off random things on Hops News and decided to make a podcast together. And a year later, a Disney trip, an adventure into the cantina. Here we are. We've grown from nobodies. We made a lot of great friends through Twitter and the like. We're doing things such as like press passes at a Comic Con, which neither of us probably ever thought would happen. We've
No.
interviewed a ton of people, which we're going to run down our guest list here in a minute, and we're just going to answer some questions and things of that nature. So let's hit it off. Well, we the first question is we're going to start with some questions before we dive into our favorite things. The first question we had was actually by Josh from Four Nerds by Nerds. We were on an episode of his, and hopefully we're going to have Josh on soon. He asked, "What's something new you'd like to try on the show in year two?" Oh man, I don't know. Do you have an answer?
Um, I love interviewing the comic book people and doing, that when the first time we had anybody that like wrote a comic book come on our show, I was like, I can't even believe that they're taking their time to sit down with us. So I really like the idea of doing more of that and expanding on that, and yeah, doing more live things, because we started doing the podcast basically because of COVID. And I think that's a huge chunk of the podcast industry exploded during COVID, because what the hell else are you going to do?
Yeah.
Um, so I'd love more, in person live events, more of that kind of thing. And one of the
I
things I'd really like to do is get somebody from my actual comic book shop on. Like the guy Al that works at my comic book shop is also into beer. And I've talked to him about the podcast. I've run into him at beer festivals. He's asked me beer recommendations, and he
let's
has
get him
actually,
on.
I don't know why I haven't. I mean, we even follow each other on social media, and he's such a great dude. He's such a cool dude, and we have great conversations every time I go in there. And I don't know why. I don't know. You're the closer. I have this weird
You
thing,
want
and
me
my
to
husband
reach
makes
out
fun of
to
me.
him?
Like, I don't like reaching out to people. I feel like I'm
No,
wasting their
bring him
time. I feel like
on.
I'm bothering them. I don't know what's wrong with me,
That's how I
but
do get that way sometimes too. I do feel.
there you go. Josh from Four Nerds by Nerds, you just made that my goal for a
Yeah,
year two.
that's
I'm gonna get Al
that's
on the podcast.
that's the goal. I think I'm kind of with you as far as the live events go. I think so. Obviously, we get the Comic Con coming up. I joke around with you a lot. I wouldn't ever like peer pressure you. Of course, I couldn't peer pressure you even because you're not that kind of person. But if you do end up coming out, I think the one thing I want to do is record something together in person, whether it's at a brewery that we record at, or like we're sitting in a hotel room, like recording an episode. Um, but I think something that'd be really cool is to like sit down in an actual brewery and record an episode together, whether it's at Salt Lake, whether it's San Diego, whether it's Orlando, just in some capacity. I think it'd be really cool to record an episode sitting next to each other.
I know,
That's
what a weird goal for a
it
podcast.
is. It is super weird. It is super weird
But
because
we've
like
never
all
done
these
it.
other podcasts, right? They a lot of podcasts they get together in a room and a lot of them have studios and all that other
Hmm.
stuff. But I'm in Idaho, you're in Florida, but like a lot of people still comment to us like, wow, you guys, before we had actually hung out and met, like, oh, you guys haven't met in person yet. Like we riff off each other pretty well. And I honestly, you've become a pretty good friend of mine. And so I just think it'd be really cool to do this in person and
Right.
then, go on like another family style trip together. But most importantly, to benefit the pod is like, yeah, like whether it's at a
Right.
Comic Con, wherever a brewery, sit down. Because if it happens to be Salt Lake, I know the exact brewery I want to. It's Hopkins
Mm,
Brewery. Like
nice.
Hopkins is definitely where I want to go, and it's right next to a couple other breweries in a really nice spot, so we can even get some beers after. But that's the spot I'd want to do it at, and That's kind of my goal in a long-winded kind of way.
No, I love that idea. And honestly, I feel like the one time we did meet in person, it wasn't it didn't make sense because it was, yeah, like you said, it was a family trip. We both had our kids, we had our
Yeah,
spouses and everything, and it was like we were just
and we had met
having
for the first time in person,
right.
so
And
like
we
we
were
wanted to
enjoying
go
the
do stuff.
moment. It
Yeah,
wasn't like, let's pull out this podcast equipment and sit down now. Because even though it sounds like we may not plan, we do actually plan. You can
we
ask
do.
Kevin and Micah.
We
They
do.
just saw our Google
Well,
Doc.
it's not even just planning, but like we plan, but at the same time, it's like we were hanging out as friends, doing things like families hanging out, and you got to meet Carrie. I got to meet Josh, and the kids had a great time with each other, and so it was just like old family friends getting together, and so that was like the furthest thing kind of from our
Your
mind.
kids are
And
all now getting married.
yeah, my son still talks about Brielle all the time and how he wants
My
to marry her.
son's
So
marrying baby Harper.
look at that. One day we will. We don't have to worry about it because we're gonna go to
Right.
family trips with each other all the time. But
All right.
what's the next question we got?
So next question was from Unexpected Pod.
Los
So they came
Gastos.
on our show, and then we went on their show, and that was interesting because it was four different time zones on one show. So we had Australia,
Oh, it was,
Florida,
yeah.
Idaho, and Canada, and it was so late for me. It was so late. I had to bow out, but they talk a lot of sports, and we don't really ever talk sports. So there was a brief moment where we started talking about LeBron James and the Miami Heat. And I get a little heated, no pun intended, about LeBron James sometime. I'm that bitter ex-girlfriend. He dated, we're Miami. We're the hot chick. He left his wife for the hot chick and he was doing great. And he's getting all these rings and we're having a great time. And then he goes back to his wife in Cleveland.
Good.
We're a little jaded. But then he ended up leaving his Cleveland wife and going to LA. So haha, Cleveland, that's what you get.
It's true. No, it's true. I'm more so when it comes to NBA, obviously I'm a Celtics fan, but I more so love like individual players in that game because there's a lot to love. So
Dwayne
the Heat
Wade.
aren't the better NBA team. I'm just gonna settle that there. We're not gonna get into a long-winded debate. We don't talk sports a lot. However,
I would say overall, the Celtics are a better team.
hey, there we have it. Hear that? Haha, hear that unexpected? It's on recording. No, I will
But
say that I loved the Shaq, Dwayne Wade era. I love Chris
oh,
Bosh.
2006.
Like I really
That was
up
fun
until
year.
LeBron went to that team, I really liked a lot of the players because I'm a player fan. So that's where we're at. And
Well, and Dwayne Wade's fantastic. He's a fantastic human being, a fantastic basketball player. When he was in the zone, to just watch him go up and go around the
did
hoop
amazing
and like
things,
dunk it in,
without a doubt.
gorgeous, just
What are you doing on the
gorgeous
court?
plays.
I will say with the unexpected, I actually talk to Tim from Unexpected often, and we got a fantasy football league we're getting going together, and I might be their like NHL, NFL correspondent come fall time, and I might be on that podcast a little more. So definitely check them
Nice.
out. Between them and Scotch and Sports, like those are the two podcasts that I probably am on the most, or like podcast wise. So check them out. But yeah, the next question is so Hops and Heroes, Kevin, he runs Instagram at Hops and Heroes, a lot of great toy and beer shots. Uh
Amazing.
he might be like the number one person that we talk to the most, almost, especially on Instagram. At least Lauren is always interacting with him since she does more than
Well, I
Instagram.
was following him before we started this podcast, and I
Yeah.
mentioned in our Black Widow episode, I loved all of his posts, and so when we started the Geek Beer one, I was like, well, let me follow him because I feel like he is um relates to kind of what we're trying to do here,
Oh,
and
100%.
yeah, he was a great guest too. He was awesome. But
He is
anybody who's not
awesome.
following him, Hops in Heroes.
Letter N, Hops, letter N, Heroes. Yeah, he was great.
He knows
I
beer and comics very well.
Yeah, very true. I will say, so the first question I'm going to answer is, why is MASH called MASH? So back 2 years ago now, I
Yeah,
think it
2 years
was,
ago.
we had all randomly met up as strangers on the internet as far as Hops News, and we all kind of had to like pick stage names. So it's like we're strippers or some shit, right? Or actors, they have stage names. But so obviously Lauren had Hoppy Mommy, which is something she had before that. And I was like, man, what's a good kind of name? And my wife is like, what about MASH? So it's, my name's Matt. MASH kind of flows into it. And then MASH is something, a big part of the beer. So like you put a lot of the hops in the mash, things of that nature. So it just kind of worked out that way that, my wife came up with the name MASH just to play off the name Matt, and kind of went from there.
And
So
that's,
that's how I got that
yeah,
name.
Jeremy from Hops News is the one that says, pick a nickname. So he's Jay Brew. And then you have Nick, who's Lucky because his last name's Luckman. And then you have Annie is Brew Witch, which I absolutely love that nickname because,
Agreed.
witches were brewers, all that whole shindig. But
Witches brew.
witches be brewing.
They do. They do. So he also asked, what are our best and worst beers we've had on air?
So it's hard because I haven't had a single beer on air that I was like, oh my God, this is terrible. But I'm also, I look up beers beforehand. I know what we're getting. So I would say the least impressive beer was the Moobies beer. It was a good lager, but it was a very light, basic lager. It
There was
had no
nothing to it, no flavor.
right. I solely bought that for the can art, for the hype, for the label. But I definitely don't regret it. And we drank it 2 weeks in a row.
We did in for our Kevin Smith episodes. And so I will say, yeah, we typically pick out beers that we're gonna have on air. And so we're not gonna pick bad beers. But like the movies beer, it was just a beer that landed into our laps perfectly and lined up with our Kevin Smith. So I agree. That might be the worst one I've had on air myself as well.
But again, I feel bad calling it worst. Motorworks makes some great beer.
It
I'm just
was
not
it
a
wasn't the
basic
top of the
lager fan.
list. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
not like a real basic lager. I mean, I like them kind of, but I'm not.
For me to really like a lager, it's got to have a twist to it. Like Mobcraft had a great lager that was had like a lime kind of twist.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there are lagers I do like. Well, obviously there's a whole chain of beers that are lagers. I'm talking basic lagers that don't have any
Yeah.
additions to them. Okay. That goes into a whole other beer school thing. But as far as best beers, so I have to say the episode where I drank your homebrew was my most surprised good beer. And that is probably a compliment to you and an insult to myself because when I try to brew beer, it doesn't work out well. And when you said you were brewing this beer, it didn't sound like you had much experience in homebrew, and your beer tasted like beer. It was good beer.
It was. It surprisingly was. And hopefully I strike lightning hits twice in the same spot because I'm gonna be brewing that stout here probably at
You
the
got to
end of
send me that maple
August.
stout.
Yeah, so I'm gonna hit up and try to start getting the ingredients and start brewing it here soon. So hopefully that one hits.
But I'm gonna say my favorite though was the ADA County Stout from Woodland Empire.
Ada, it's Ada. That's a
Oh, it's
county. That's
Ada.
the county that Boise's in is Ada.
Oh, I thought it was an acronym.
Nope.
That was a fantastic stout. And I love getting a phenomenal stout in a 16-ounce can because usually the phenomenal stouts are 22-ounce
Oh
bombers.
yeah.
It's just a bit too much. It's an extra 6 ounces.
I would have
Um,
gladly drank an extra 12 ounces of that though. It was so good.
yeah, that beer was so good.
Once a
So
year. Once a
amazing.
year. I'll get you some for next year, but yeah, I'm just
So
thinking
what
about
was
the
your favorite?
episode. I'm gonna say it's a tie between the Ada County Stout and the Great Notion beer that I had,
Oh.
the maple pancakes beer that I have from Great Notion. So they're kind of tied because I'm a slut for maple syrup and Woodland Empire. I'm gonna talk about them a little later on, but that beer hits so deliciously good, so
Mm-hmm.
deliciously good. So yeah, that's kind of there's that. What was our biggest mess up so far? I will tell you right now that mine was leaving in my daughter's wails and screams to Satan, her father, on our a couple episodes ago on the Sharknado episode, and I edited it out, but apparently still made it up to Apple. The rest of the streaming platforms are good, but Apple apparently decided to say screw you. So that would be my biggest mess up.
I feel like I need to go back and listen. So my biggest mess up I had you fix. So I said something my brother told me that happened to him at work, and then I was like, I don't think I was allowed to say
Oh, I
that. And
remember
so
that.
but it was like in my drunken state, I'm like, it's fine. And then the next day when it aired, I was like, shit, I should have said this before. But Jay kindly took it off and then you fixed it and then we sent it back out. So that was probably mine. I'm like, I'm going to get my brother fired. He didn't do
Uh,
anything wrong. Somebody told him something they probably shouldn't have, and I regurgitated it, which I shouldn't have. And
I
now nobody knows what
do.
it is.
I remember it though. People don't forget. I'm people. It's
Actually.
me. I'm people.
And this is what it was.
It was. It's actually, you want me to recount it right now? No.
Right.
So, yeah,
Um,
that's what was our favorite episode? What was your favorite episode?
Oh, that one's so freaking hard because every episode is so different. Um, I don't know. What do you go? You go first.
So I have a few. It's hard to just pick one because we've
Mm-hmm.
done so many. We have a really great guest. So first of all, I want to say Thunder 11 from Sharknado because that was like meeting a hero because I
Mm-hmm.
love those movies so much. Thunder was great. And something that he said really stuck with me is I get to daydream for a living. And that's kind of where I hope to be at some point in my life is daydream for a living because I daydream. I just don't get paid for it now. So Thunder 11, Comics Explained, Rob from Comics Explained, that man is so knowledgeable and we just really geeked out with him. That was one of like our
Mm-hmm.
earlier guests too. So loved that episode. Loved, just talking with Rob. And then Oblivion Bar was amazing. I loved Oblivion Bar. I loved Geek Peak when we talked to Last Jedi. Um,
I still need a web redemption with them.
we're gonna be working on something, but that's gonna go into like my most memorable episode. So I'm gonna leave out that. But I think New Mutants with watching comics because the four of us,
Despite we had to watch it.
oh my god, like all four of us, we almost died during
Mm-hmm.
that watching. Like all four of us, it took all of our willpower on this universe to get through that 90-minute, just awful film. And Jake and Mitch are such incredible human beings over there on Watching Comics. Follow them at Watching Comics on Twitter. They're really great human beings and they're really knowledgeable as well. And it was just such a treat talking to them because that movie was so bad. And that was like we
It
don't
was.
watch awful things, but we settled on that film and we had no idea going into it what we were in for, and it was just miserable.
No, but it was something we definitely, wanted to watch. It's like, I
Yeah.
still watch the first couple of episodes of Inhumans. It's like some of the stuff you still just
Oh
feel like you
God,
need to
yeah.
watch. But as far as, Rob from Comics Explained, that was an amazing episode. We had a great time. But I didn't know who he was beforehand. I didn't know the following he had beforehand.
Yeah.
So I know, like, Micah was a lot more excited than we were, but he's the one that hooked it up. So kudos to you. That was awesome. But I would definitely love to talk to him again because, yeah, he is clearly somebody who grew up reading comics and knows them inside and out. Um, so some of my, sometimes my favorite ones are the ones that I love having the guests, but sometimes it's nice when we have a bunch of the guests and then we have one just the two of us. Maybe because we both like talking and we get to talk more when we don't
Yeah.
have a guest.
I agree. It is always nice that we sometimes just get to like it's just like having a conversation with a friend basically, and
Hmm.
we get to talk about some nerdy stuff.
But one of my favorites, though, that was just us was early on. It was the Nightmare Before Christmas one. And I think I love that one so much because I got to actually sit down and be like, okay, why do I love this movie so much? Why do I love it more every time I watch it? And why am I offended when people say they don't like it? So I really got to like think about it and why this movie is so special to me. And I regurgitated it and
Yeah,
I just
we should
fucking
do a
love that movie.
commentary episode on that for this Halloween.
Oh,
We should That's what we should
yes.
do. We should do a commentary episode for this Halloween. I think that'd be a lot of fun.
Yes, I'll have to bite my tongue though and not say all the words as to what's happening. It's like
That's
my
fine.
kids put on
Who
Lion King and I
cares?
can't shut the fuck up because I just say all the lines.
Ah.
I know every single line of Lion King. But another one of my favorites was the Supernatural one.
Yes.
I feel like I hold back on Supernatural. I would love to do another one with Gnome from Dad's on Dayquil where we just go
Yeah, we
off
got
on
to
our
get Gnome back
tangents.
in, man.
He even made a joke like we should create a spin-off. I'm like, you don't know how hard it is to just be like, I don't have time to do that. My husband would kill me. I don't just because the amount of time that it's nice to have one night off. I can't have two nights off.
Yeah.
But I mean, I still love anytime I post anything supernatural. I know he's going to comment or like or something, and I just absolutely love that show. And it's nice to have that outlet when you geek so hard
Yeah,
over something and somebody else feels the same way.
for sure. I have no idea. Supernatural. It's not my forte. So, but it was still a fun episode. I liked it.
And he kicked my ass, and I do want a rematch. Well, I was watching another episode recently, and I'm not big on Harry Potter, and I guess Sam is, and he made a comment about Harry Potter, and then Dean called him a Dumbledore. I'm like, why have I not called Matt a Dumbledore? This is a missed
Oh
opportunity.
man, feels bad. What other? I know Kevin had a few other questions.
Yes. Oh, sorry. Yes, that's on my phone. Favorite comic book movie sequel that is not called Winter Soldier, and I take offense
The
to that
Dark
because it
Knight.
would have been Winter Soldier.
It's The Dark Knight.
Oh, you went DC. Okay.
The Dark Knight.
Favorite sequel that is not Winter Soldier, but Winter Soldier is so good. Can I say Ragnarok?
That's a sequel. That's not Winter
It's
Soldier.
the
So why
third
not?
one.
Yeah, but still a sequel.
I'm going Ragnarok then.
That's fair. All right, so I got the Dark Knight, and you have the Ragnarok. You have Thor Ragnarok.
The Ragnarok.
What else does he have?
Have you ever gotten a prediction right of what's going to happen in a movie
No,
or show? I feel
no,
like this is like a jab.
no, no. We haven't. Not at
um,
all.
I think my only prediction I ever got right was when I said that casting Michael Evan Peters or whatever as Quicksilver was fucking with us. I still stand by that.
No, I think that's right. So, but overall, no, no, we haven't. Come
Right.
on,
No.
come on, no.
Top three most important comic book movies of all time.
The Dark
And then he,
Knight.
okay, he gave his answer. So we'll say ours and then you
All
say
right.
yours.
So the Dark Knight, Iron Man, because it kicked off the MCU, and then
Fair.
Endgame because it wrapped up that story arc, and we got a lot going on at Endgame. So Dark Knight, Iron Man, and Endgame.
Okay, I'm going to go X Men 1
Ooh.
because that's when I first fell in love with
Okay.
Wolverine. And then I'm going to go Thor
What? Hold on.
be-
What?
because I loved Iron Man and I loved Hulk, but I feel like Thor is where I really truly fell in love with
Mm,
this universe.
that's fair.
And then I'm
That's fair.
and then I'm going Endgame because
Endgame was an
Endgame's
experience. It was more than a movie. It was an
yes,
experience, and it
a
still
hundred
has lasting
percent.
effects throughout the entire, like the things that movie did. Infinity War was better, but what Endgame wrapped up and set up was
Uh-huh.
incredible. So,
And the
what?
emotions you felt when you were
Oh,
watching Endgame do not compare
absolutely,
to Infinity Wars.
not at all, not at all. What were his? I'm interested to hear.
So his Superman 1978,
Oh,
Batman
his.
89,
Oh, okay.
and Blade.
Blade. That I'm curious if we ever do a Blade episode for the upcoming Blade series that's going to come out. I'm interested to get him on and hear why he thinks that.
Yes, but fuck that one dude that said he was embarrassed for
Oh,
Scarlett
yeah. I don't even
Johansson.
remember his name right now, and I don't care. So screw that guy.
Nobody wants to remember his name.
Not at all. So,
But I could see Batman 89 for sure. I could see both of these, but see, for me, I didn't fall in love with comics until I was an adult, even though I saw a lot of those movies as a kid.
same here. No, definitely same here. I was a teenager when I really fell in. Like Batman Begins really got me into the comic book world. That was like my entry, and I was what was that 2004? I think it 2006, 2006. So I was like
Something
16
like
at that
that.
time. So I can see it for sure. But yeah, the next question is kind of a silly one from Micah, Tavern Geek at Tavern Geek. Follow him. Pop Tart flavor, favorite one, scale of 1 to 10. Mine is brown sugar cinnamon. I, for some reason, love
Ooh,
brown sugar cinnamon Pop Tarts, and that's what I'm sticking with.
that's a good one. I would never eat. Okay, so I would never eat the one I'm going to choose again. I only buy the organic ones now, but
I don't eat
I'm
Pop Tarts,
going
period, now, but
s'mores. You
ooh,
ever
I
had a
used to
s'mores
heat
Pop
them
Tart?
up and then I'd peel off the
Mm-hmm.
top layer just so I can like
Oh.
be a fat kid and eat the. I don't know. I was weird. But s'mores is a good one. S'mores is a good one.
Yeah.
Uh, he also asked if we would do a future episode on how Disney's purchase of Marvel impacted Marvel and pop culture in general. So we're gonna have to do a whole episode on that. And I know just the guy that we should bring in for that episode, and it is Josh by Four Nerds by Nerds. So
I would, I would also, I think that'd be a great episode to bring in somebody who's was into Marvel before and to bring in somebody who got into it after.
we're gonna
Um,
bring Micah. You're gonna come on, and we're also gonna bring Josh from Four Nerds by Nerds on at the same time. So we're
did
gonna
he not get into Marvel till later?
Josh. I don't
Yeah.
know. I just know that.
I'm talking about like one of my friends who like didn't get into it until like
I'm sorry.
2015.
I'm sorry. My
No,
bad.
though, because that, somebody who didn't get into it until Disney bought it.
Sorry.
Until, like I didn't really get into Star Wars until
Yeah.
Disney bought it. I didn't have
No, you're
incentive
right.
to
You know what? You're
beforehand.
right. Yeah. Okay. So who would you bring on?
I was thinking Erica, but I don't know if she'll do it. By the way, Erica today is in Disneyland and she had a beer in Pim's lab.
She's on a
Yeah.
bed, dude. She's off the pod, dude.
Oh, she's there with Tracy.
We'll figure it out. I know for sure that Josh from Four Nerds will be on, but we're gonna figure out because that's a really good idea to bring somebody who the MCU kind of got them on the ball. So, and then yeah, Patrick, who is another he's a Patreon from Hops News, and he asked how fast can we do the Kessel Run? Well,
11 parsecs.
11, I'm gonna say 10 parsecs. Depends how many beers. If I had a couple of those Ada County stouts, oh, I'm definitely going 8 parsecs. If my ankles are weak and feeble like they are at the moment, then it might be 12.
I'm going 11.9.
And she's going 11.9. We'll
It's
have
all
to,
I need to
I
beat
don't
the
know.
record.
How fast did I do? We didn't do the Kessel Run at Disney. That wasn't the ride, but we did do something on the Millennium Falcon, so I have to remember. And then Juan Pedro on Instagram, which is JP's World. He's going to come on as a guest at some point. JP is somebody who listens often. I follow him as well. He always has a lot of great stuff happening. He just went skydiving, even, which looked super rad. He posted pictures.
Oof.
He said that we rock. So thank you for that, man. We can't wait
Yes,
to have you on
that was very
episode.
nice.
It's always nice to hear feedback like that we don't totally suck. So
That's not from my mom. Not that I
yeah.
don't like my mom's feedback or my aunt or my cousin. They're all awesome. They all like and all the stuff, but it's interesting when people who you don't know leave comments and
Yeah,
whatnot.
it
It,
means a
it
lot
hits different.
because it's like, oh wow, not just my mom's listening, or what we do has an impact on some, I'm gonna say random person. Like this is no disrespect to anybody, but like a random person that you've never met in
Hmm.
person before. They're like, hey, I love that you're doing this or that. So that's also what I hope to do in year two is interact more with like just casual, like not casual listeners, but like people who listen who don't have a podcast or, have discovered us somehow. So really, if you have found us and, just interact with Twitter, Geek Hops, Instagram, Hops Geek News, talk with us. We love it. It's awesome. And we got two more bits, a couple more bits. So we have most memorable episode. For me, it would be the shit show that was Harry Potter because we were very drunk when that went down. So I want to read you on the Harry Potter because I don't remember that episode.
Well,
um,
when we filmed the core, we were sober. So it was when we did the news. And that is what I had too. But I put ironically, I don't remember the most memorable episode, but I have never laughed so hard at any of our episodes, except for when I listened back to that one because I did not remember it at all. And
it
I'm
was a
laughing at
nightmare.
myself, yelling at you, and I'm slurring. And it was just, I'm like,
It
who
was
is
an
this
event. If you
person?
haven't listened, go back. It's like one of our earlier episodes. Go listen, and
Yeah, it was Christmas time.
it was an event. So the other
So
one
when
from there, sorry, I would just say real quick, the Last Jedi, where Hoppy tried skipping out.
Yeah. Okay. So before I explain that, I will say when we filmed the news part of Harry Potter, we were doing our Secret Santa with Hops News that
Oh,
night.
that's right.
So we were drinking for like 2.5 hours on there first, and I opened like a bomber that's barrel aged before we recorded. But I feel like I'm just laughing because it's like I agree with everything my drunk self is saying, but it's very over exaggerated and emotional, and and I'm yelling at you about sharks. It was just
I don't remember any of it, so it was
yeah,
great. It
well,
was
it's
great. I can't wait
recorded.
till this year's Secret Santa. It's going to be even better. How do we outdo
No,
ourselves?
geez. Yeah, what are we gonna record after that?
Well, we'll see.
Um, so any other memorable moments?
No,
Oh,
I would just
yeah.
say the
So
Geek
Geek
Peak.
Peek.
I loved recording the Geek Peak. We talked about the Last Jedi, and that's really where our friendship was forged. There, like I've become pretty good friends with Chris. So Lauren decided just not to show up because she didn't want to trash the Last Jedi, and that's almost where I
That's
found a new
exactly correct.
co-host.
So the Geek Peek one. So I put my phone on the charger. My phone's on silent, and for some stupid reason, despite it being on my calendar that we were recording with Geek Peek before Hops News, because we usually record after, I'm like, oh, let my phone charge. And then my daughter and I were watching Superman and Lois. And then all of a sudden I look at my phone and I have a missed FaceTime call from you, which is never happens, well, except for 4th of July when you were drunk. And
That
I
was
have
fun
like
though.
text messages, where are you? And I'm like, what's going on? And all of a sudden I realized and I jumped
Where
on
are
real quick.
you? And I'm so sorry.
So since then, I have implemented a very detailed schedule on Excel Google Docs. I have them in on our calendars. I have the next upcoming event on my watch. I have done multiple things to implement our schedule so that that never happens again. I'm very sorry, Geek Peak. If I see you at MegaCon and you want to go get a beer after, I owe you a beer. So there you go.
Well,
Oh,
there you have it.
more memorable. So fantasy friendship.
That was a
We were
fun
doing
one.
that was a fun one, and I did not expect to have as much fun as I did because the topic was retro games and Star Wars, and I was like, I don't really have much input on either of these. I didn't think, but I did. It was fun. We were talking about Aladdin, Sega, and Tetris, and
We
the
really
Star
deep
Wars didn't go
cuts. Yeah.
too detailed, so we had a lot of fun. So that was a great one. And then sitting down with Frank Martin was our first comic book creator,
That's right.
which we've had on more than once. So I
Frank
feel like
is, I love Frank, man.
yes, he's awesome. Frank the writer. Those are his handles, and it was just kind of neat that like somebody who wrote a comic book actually wanted to sit down with us and hear our opinions on his comic book. And then Gary
Yeah.
Morgenstein and then which led to Thunder 11 with Sharknado, like that was really cool. And then I even ordered Gary's book and read it and loved it, and I need to read the sequel, which I'm going to start this week. Um, but yeah, those are really good. But I have to say, I think the most memorable one is actually the first one because I felt like we didn't know what the hell we were doing. We
We
weren't
had no
sure.
idea.
We weren't sure what we were doing. You can see the topics in the beginning, but also there was nothing going on um,
Well, yeah,
when
that
we
was the
started the
time when there was
podcast.
nothing. We weren't getting Marvel shows, movies, things of that nature. And yeah, we really like everybody's, when you watch a pilot of a TV show, you're just like, oh God, what happened? Like, it isn't until like season two where things really pick up most often than not. And so I don't think we
Right.
really hit our stride until like after January, personally.
Well,
And
that's when we started to get. I felt like we did a lot of fun because both of us are big on holidays, and I think that helped a lot. So I felt like once we got into October, like one of my favorite episodes that I enjoyed listening back to was the horror movies one
ooh,
because you
yeah.
put in a lot of really cool fun facts that I didn't know. And that was when I was like, okay, this is fun learning fun facts. I want to start putting fun facts and researching fun facts into our episodes.
Yeah, that's true. That's fair to say. It took us a couple months to really hit our stride and like get comfortable, but we're here. We're obviously not perfect, but we're gonna improve,
And we
and
never will be.
we never will. If you're perfect or you think you're perfect, you got a lot more to learn, and we always strive to be better. So yeah, I'll agree with that for sure. Agree with that. The first episode was always fun, and we've come a long ways. Come a long ways, and last but not least, let's go into our favorite guests. So before we talk about our favorite guests, we're going to give you a rundown of the guests that we have had in order of appearance. I don't remember the exact episodes. That was too much work for us to do.
No, I have
However,
it all.
oh, you have? So go ahead, take us away.
So our first guest was actually Lucky from
It
Hops News.
was.
And that was The Boys season 2. We did episodes 1 through 3 because they released them right away. And then we had Brad from Common Law.
Yep.
We talked about pumpkin beer on that episode.
Oh man.
Then we had our Hop
Hold on,
Heroes
hold on,
Super
hold on,
Smack
hold on,
Hop
hold on.
Down.
I can't wait
But
until
do
I
you?
just Venmo you all the money to send me Pumpkinhead again.
I knew it was gonna have something to do with pumpkin beer.
Anyways,
Uh, Anyone who started listening in January has no idea how basic you are.
oh, it's gonna get
So be
wild this
prepared.
year. Mhm.
That was fun though. Brad is super knowledgeable
I love Brad.
about beer and yeah, and yes, and he's got geek in him too, which makes it extra fun. We had our Hop Hero Super Hop Smackdown. That was a lot of fun. I don't know if we're gonna have a rematch on there. Hops Heroes Pod. We had them on Hops News. What last June 2020.
Yeah,
Had a great time. Became friends with them, and then actually did some trivia with their main comic book dude Jr.
they were
hosting.
like one of our first like fellow beer podcast guests.
Yes. And we were gonna do that other podcast with them, and then Zach went and got like some super important
I
job.
know. I was so excited too. God damn it.
But he's not even on Hops
Nah, he is
Heroes
once
right
in a
now.
while, but whatever.
Hop Heroes. I keep getting it confused now with Hops in Heroes.
Hop heroes.
I
I
know, I
just
love that
plays me.
song. But that was a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun shit talking beforehand. We had a great time doing the. We actually did live trivia on air, so that was really cool. And we had Micah from Tavern Geek to X Men, and we had Woodland Empire, where we just talked about their brewery. And then we had Jessica and my daughter do the Harry Potter one, and that's the one where we're trash during the news. It's a great mom over here. And then we had Rob from Comics Explained, probably our biggest guest. And then we had Robbie with us do Cobra Kai come January. And then we did Super Beers with Brad again from Common
We
Law.
had beers that came out after that episode. Yeah.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that Aquaman Goza was amazing. And then Woodland Empire came on and taught us about Dungeons and Dragons, which I still have never played.
Me neither.
And then we
Well, I
did
have, but
3 parts of Wolverine with Micah. That was only supposed to be a one episode. And
yeah.
then it turned into
A
three.
tree parter man.
We're like, oh, this will be a 2 episode now. Oh, this is going to be a 3 episode. And then we did Fantasy Friendship, retro video games, and Star Wars. Quips and Dips. We did the WandaVision
Yeah,
predictions, and none of them came true. But that was a lot of fun.
it
And then we
was.
did Oblivion Bar Pod, Sympathetic Villains, Geek Peak Pod, Last Jedi, Jock Doc. We did
That was a lot of fun.
Scrubs.
Going on their show was a lot of fun.
Yes, we had to pretend we were people we weren't. The hardest part of going on that show was not laughing.
Yeah.
So, Jock Doc podcast, like, you want to learn some medical stuff and laugh at the same time? They're the podcast for
Hit
you.
'em up.
Then watching comics, New Mutants. We did wrestling episode with Tim. That was a lot of fun because
Yeah, it
I
was.
hadn't really hung out with Tim in a while, so that
I
was a
love
lot of
Tim.
yeah.
Tim, if you're listening, I love you.
And you're a snack.
A damn snack.
You're a damn snack. Then the
Holes.
last homicide with Frank Martin. We've had so many fucking guests. How have we had this
A lot
many
of we've had a
episodes?
lot of fun guests. We're on episode 61. No,
Ooh.
we're not.
And
We're on
then
episode 62. I'm sorry.
Gnome from Dad's on Dayquil. We did Supernatural, and then we had Unexpected Pod, Gary Morgenstein, Megan Huang, Rangers of the Divide, Charlie. We did Mortal Kombat, which was Micah's favorite episode, and then we did the Loki episode with Tim, Polar Paradox with Frank Martin, Eric from Empirical Brewing and Brewwitch, Thunder 11 for Sharknado, and then Steve Urena from that
Tijuana.
wrote Slowpokes and Zombie Date.
Yes. And so my favorite guest from those, obviously Thunder 11. Man, he daydreams for a living. Loved that. Rob from Comics Explained. I always really love having Tim and Micah on, to be honest. I really, really want to do another trivia
Oh,
showdown.
how did I miss Jurassic Park?
We did do Jurassic Park. Tim and Charlie were on for Jurassic Park.
And he was
I
on for Mortal
loved
Kombat.
so I loved the Super Hop Smackdown that we did. I would love to do another one with like more podcasts because that was so much fun. So Hop Heroes, but probably my number one guest would probably Woodland Empire because we have formed such a great relationship with them. And obviously watching comics as well was another really fun one, but Woodland Empire
Mm-hmm.
probably takes the cake because you formed such a great relationship. Robin Keeley, they brew really amazing beer. Keeley, gosh, does such great artwork, and they're just such great human beings that I really just love the connection that we formed, and we formed a friendship. And they're going to be back on again for Sweet Tooth episode, and so they're just kind of like a reoccurring guest, and so they're probably my favorite one.
There honestly looks like I want to get to Idaho to get to their brewery. Like I just want to go
If you
to
come
that
out
brewery.
here, I'm telling you, like that's the first place I'm taking you. Charlie even said that was his favorite brewery of all the ones I took
I
him
know
to.
that made
So
me happy too. That was his favorite place. Well, it's like I know the beer is going to be better there because the beer of theirs I've had has made the trip in the mail for 5 to 7 days from Idaho. So you know it's still
yeah,
great.
you have some
I
more
mean,
coming
hell,
our
I
way
named it
too.
one of my favorites, but you know it's better in the tap. It's always better in the tap room.
Yeah, their tap room's such great. And Christian, shout out to him from their tap room. Like, man, every time I go in there, it's always when he's working, and we just have such great conversations. And it's such a welcoming vibe, and they're so personable, and they're just such a happy place. And just I can't recommend enough. You go to Boise, go there. Whenever you come out here, if you do, yeah, that's the first place. Like right off that plane, we're going to Woodland Empire, and hopefully Rob and Keeley will all meet up, and we'll all four of us just have beers and shoot the shit. And who knows, maybe we even do a live episode that way too with them again. So
That would be an
yeah,
amazing live episode. Well, and I totally geeked over the fact that when they commented on my personal Instagram page about Family Business Beer Company that they know the brewer,
yeah.
I was like, well, this is super awesome.
That and they just hit me up out of nowhere and were like, "Hey, Dunkin' Donuts is ignoring you. Like, we're gonna sponsor you." And so they're brewing a donut beer. They're gonna hook me up, and it's like you guys didn't have to do that. Like, this is so kind and so nice, and it's just
I think they're
it
just those
means a
kind of
lot to
people.
me personally. So they're just such great human beings, and you can tell that like they're really genuinely decent people, and there's not a lot of them out there in this world. So
There's a lot. They're just hard to find because they're hidden under not decent people.
true, very true. So what were yours?
I think I said a lot. I think I said mine before. Gnome,
Yeah, you
Dad's
did.
on
That's
Dayquil.
fair.
Timmy, it was great catching up with him. Tim's,
Timmy.
longtime friend, first time caller. Well, it's funny because Tim always loves the fact we met in law school, and he didn't stay around long. So he loves when people are like, "Oh, you guys met in law school? Are you a lawyer?" No.
No,
Oh.
oh yeah, that
But we had a great time. Tim and I spent many a day on the beach, and yeah. Well, and Tim also ended up becoming friends with so many of my friends from different groups. So it's like he just is one of those people that no matter who you're hanging out with, he
he's
can
such like
jump
a
right in and have a great
happy go
time.
lucky person, and I really got to meet him for the first time when we got together that one night, and we all did like that game night that just was so
Yeah.
fun. And so that's where I really
That we
got to
didn't record.
we didn't record, but it was a lot of fun, and
Hmm.
so have to do that
Like we
again.
have, before COVID, we would have like a Christmas party every year, and you have to come festive. It doesn't have to be a costume, but if you're in a
Oh
costume, you have the
yeah.
potential to win a prize. And it can be an ugly sweater, it can be whatever. People just wear a t-shirt, this is my costume, whatever. We've had everything from the leg lamp to full on my brother dressed as the Grinch with a green face picking up my Christmas tree, and me losing my mind that he was picking up my Christmas tree.
Yeah.
And Tim came dressed as Jesus. And yeah, he was staying at our house that weekend, so it was like he's like, okay, I got to get a robe and I got to get a staff, and like he did the whole thing. And then we have pictures of him pretending to turn water into wine. And yeah, it was a
Ridiculous.
good time.
Ridiculous. Yeah. So that kind of wraps it up. I mean, like I said, we've come a long way in the last year. We've got a lot of big things coming up, a lot to look forward to. Let us know what are some things you guys want content wise, guest wise, and what you just want to see from the geeks in general. And we really
Because I'll
appreciate
research anything beer geek.
we love it. We love what we do. It's we don't get paid, obviously. No, we just do this for fun, and it's so much fun just
We
shooting the
pay to
shit
do
and
it.
doing some really fun stuff. And so let us know. Follow us on Twitter, Geek Hops. Follow us on TikTok, Hops News or Hops Geek News, one of the two. Search for one, and you'll find it. Follow us on Instagram, Hops Geek News, and follow us on YouTube. All the places. Search us. Episodes weekly. We love it. And thank you everybody for hanging out with us tonight. And so, cheers.
Cheers.
This has been a Hops News production. You can find Hops News on all your favorite podcasts and social media platforms at Hops News. Cheers.